Meanwhile, you've got Betsy DeVos going before Congress. I thought the hearings were today. I've not been keeping up on the TV monitors here in the studio, so I'm not sure if it's already happened or not. But Betsy DeVos, a multi-billionaire, married to the Amway family. She had her own money too, and I'm not a DeVos expert. I can't tell you where it all came from, but a lot of it came out of Amway, which back in the 70s was having all kinds of legal problems. People say, "Oh, it's a pyramid scheme." Well, they finally figured out or decided that it wasn't a pyramid scheme; it was just a fine thing. But it made a lot of money for the people on the top. And a lot of that money got recycled, apparently, at least according to Graham Langtree, writing at the International Business Times, ibtimes.co.uk. This is the headline. This is from last fall. This is from November 24th. So this did not come out as a result of Betsy DeVos being in the news because she's been nominated as the education secretary. This was just, hey, this is going on. The headline, child labor laws need loosening, says group funded by Trump's education secretary. Well, that's weird. How did that happen in November 24th, 2016? This must be a reprint of an earlier article. Somebody must have put that headline on it. In an early November, either that or the date's just wrong. In an early November blog post, oh, that's when the post was, titled "Bring Back Child Labor." That's the actual quote, the title of the blog post. The Acton Institute's project coordinator, Joseph Sunday, muses about, quote, dismantling the range of excessive legal restrictions, minimum wage fixings, and regulations that lead our children to work less and work later. He quotes Jeffrey Tucker of the Free Market Foundation for Economic Education. Quote, if kids were allowed to work and compulsory school attendance was abolished, the jobs of choice would be at Chick-fil-A and Walmart. They would be fantastic jobs, too, instilling in young people a work ethic. Yes, that's what we need, child labor in the United States. Well, let's go back to the origin of public schools. I mean, the first public schools in the modern era were started by Queen Maria Theresa of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, basically what today we would call Austria, or maybe parts of Hungary, both. And they were called Spinnenschulen. And the deal that she made with families was, we will spend half a day educating your children if they will spend half a day spinning cloth. Thus, Spinnenschulen. Schulen is the German word for school. Spinnen is self-evident, right? And that, I mean, that was in the late 1700s. That was around the time of the American Revolution. And 100 years later, Horace Mann came forward and said, no, we need, free public education in the United States, at least 1 through 8. Was the original sales pitch, and the first group that bought it, in fact, was the people who controlled at the time the state of Massachusetts. It was a political party called the Order of the Star-Spangled Banner. They were referred to as the Know-Nothings because it was founded by a secret society whose slogan was "I know nothing." They would meet each other with a secret handshake and say "I know nothing," and that's how you knew that it was. And these guys who controlled Massachusetts, it was basically the Protestants who controlled Massachusetts, who were fighting against the Catholics, who were, growing in population in Massachusetts to the point that they were threatening the Protestants. And so finally, Horace Mann came to the Know Nothing Society and he said, I've got a way for you to break the back of Catholic power. Because the Catholics were all self-educating their children. They were homeschooling their kids. And he said, you break the back of the Catholics by having public schools, and we'll indoctrinate them into Protestant ethic. And so, I mean, the beginning of public schools is bizarre, right? But the other sales pitch that he made to business that Horace Mann made was, if you have public schools, those young people will go into school, they'll sit there for 8 hours. Every hour the bell rings, they'll move from class to class. They'll learn how to respond to the bell. They'll learn how to do their job. They'll learn how to sit quietly and do one thing at a time. These are all necessary skills for factory workers. And so we will create a generation of good factory workers here in Massachusetts. And that's where it began. There's a whole chapter about this in a book I wrote called Thom Hartmann's Complete Guide to ADHD. But the DeVoses, Betsy DeVos was a board member from 1995 to 2005 of this organization that had this post by Jeffrey Tucker saying if kids were allowed to work and compulsory school education attendance was abolished, the jobs of choice would be Chick-fil-A and Walmart. They would be fantastic jobs instilling in young people a work ethic. It's almost the reverse argument of Horace Mann's argument. It goes on to say, since 2000, DeVos has given at least $1.28 million to the Acton Institute. Her mother, Elisa D. Prince Broekhuizen, the Prince as in Eric Prince as in Blackwater, is currently a director there. And DeVos's brother, Eric Prince, the founder of Blackwater USA, whose mercenaries became infamous for the Nisour Square massacre during the Second Iraq War, gives talks at the institution. DeVos, who was the former chair of the Michigan Republican Party, says the status quo in education is unacceptable. Together, she said, we can work to make transformational change that ensures every student in America has the opportunity to fulfill his or her highest potential. And then the Acton Institute blog post about loosening child labor laws, Sun said that to get there, it would, quote, require diligent and drastic changes across our cultural spheres and institutions, including, quote, the powerful bureaucracies that seek control of our kids through top-down plans and programs. Right. No more public education.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Let's privatize it all. Chick-fil-A can run their own school, right? The kids can run the cash registers. It's called math class.